Let's talk about Haribo Gold Bears.
Haribo gummy bears might be sweet, squishy candies, but did you know they are made from cow or pig skin? That's 100% fact, and I'll be telling you how it goes from that to the juicy delicacy the world loves today. The story behind Haribo. First, let's go back in time to the early 1900s, when a young man named Hans Riegel had a simple but ambitious dream. Hans was born in Bonn, Germany in 1893, and by 1920 he decided it was time to start his own candy company. So he began with a small workshop, a bag of sugar, and a rolling pin. Yes, a rolling pin, because back then candy making wasn't done in fancy factories with big machines. Hans made everything by hand with just a few basic tools. Now let's talk about the name Haribo, because it's not just some random word. It's actually an acronym. The name combines the first two letters of Hans' first name, his last name, and the city where he started it all, Bonn. So Ha from Hans, Ri from Riegel, and Bo from Bonn. Pretty clever, right? Even the name tells a little story about its roots. Then in 1922, Hans invented what would become the crown jewel of his candy empire, the gummy bear. But they weren't called gummy bears at first. He named them dancing bears because they were inspired by the trained bears that performed at festivals and fairs in Europe. These original gummy bears were actually much bigger than the ones we know today. They were chewy, fruity, and full of character, just like the dancing bears that inspired them. People loved them, and before long, Hans had a hit on his hands. But Hans wasn't just a candy maker. He was also a smart businessman. As demand for his gummy bears grew, he expanded his operations, and by the 1930s, Haribo had become a household name in Germany. Hans even created clever slogans to promote his brand, like "Kids and grown-ups love it so, the happy world of Haribo." In fact, that slogan is so catchy that it's still used today in many countries around the world. But it wasn't always smooth sailing. During World War II, Haribo faced many challenges, including shortages of sugar and other ingredients. But despite these setbacks, Hans's determination kept the company alive. And after the war, Haribo bounced back stronger than ever, and the gummy bear's popularity continued to grow. Fast forward to today, and Haribo is a global candy powerhouse. The company makes billions of gummy bears every year, but just to give you an idea of how many that is, if you lined up all the gummy bears Haribo produced in a year, they would circle the Earth multiple times. But even though Haribo has expanded into dozens of other gummy shapes and flavors, the classic gummy bear remains its most iconic treat. It's amazing to think that this worldwide sensation started with one man in a small workshop almost a century ago. And now, when you pop a gummy bear into your mouth, you're enjoying a piece of candy history. What are gummy bears made of? How are they made? Okay, let's get to the juicy part. So what exactly are gummy bears made of? Well, the key ingredients include sugar, glucose syrup, and a bit of citric acid. The sugar and glucose syrup make the gummy sweet, while the citric acid adds a hint of tanginess. This perfect balance of flavors is what keeps you reaching for more. Now let's talk about the colors and flavors. Haribo uses a mix of natural and artificial flavorings to create the fruity taste of gummy bears. Some of the flavors come from real fruit juices, which add an extra layer of yumminess. But what about the bright, fun colors? Well, those come from food coloring. In some countries, Haribo even uses natural colorings from fruits and vegetables, like beet juice for red and spinach extract for green. So how do all these ingredients come together to make the gummy bears we know and love? It all starts in a massive mixing tank. The sugar, glucose syrup, and water are heated and stirred into a thick syrup. Then the gelatin is added to the mix. This sticky, gooey concoction is what will eventually become gummy bears. Now here's a cool fact. The gummy bear molds are made from starch powder. The syrup is poured into these molds, and the starch helps the candies keep their shape while they cool. The molds are shaped like tiny bears, but Haribo also makes other fun shapes like worms, rings, and even little cola bottles. Then, after the gummy bears have set, they go through another step to get their shiny look. They're tumbled in a drum with a little bit of wax, usually carnauba wax, which comes from the leaves of a palm tree. This wax coating not only makes the gummy bears look shiny, but also keeps them from sticking together. Once they're ready, the gummy bears are sorted, packed, and shipped off to stores all over the world. The entire process is like a well-oiled machine, designed to make sure every single gummy bear is just right. So the next time you eat one, remember all the hard work and clever science that went into making that tiny chewy treat. But why are gummy bears so bouncy? If you've ever bitten into a gummy bear, you know that squishy chewy texture is what makes them so much fun to eat. But let's take a closer look at what gives them that signature bounce. It all comes down to one key ingredient, and that ingredient is known as gelatin. For those who don't know, gelatin is a protein that comes from animal collagen, which is found in the skin, bones, and connective tissues of animals like pigs and cows. Yeah, I know this might sound a bit odd, but without gelatin, gummy bears wouldn't be the same. Also, you can be rest assured that the gelatin from the animals used in producing gummy bears have been treated with maximum caution and care, which makes gummies safe and healthy to eat. So when gelatin is heated and mixed with water, it creates a jelly-like substance. This is what gives gummy bears their stretchy, elastic texture. But here's the cool part. When you pop a gummy bear in your mouth, the warmth from your body softens the gelatin just enough to make it melt slightly. That's why it feels so satisfying to chew, like it's bouncing back at you. So as you can see, it's not just candy, it's a little science experiment happening in your mouth. Gelatin also has another job. It helps the gummy bear hold its shape. Without it, the candy would just be a sticky, gooey mess. This is why gummy bears can look so perfectly shaped, even after being squished in your bag or pocket. The gelatin keeps them firm but still flexible enough to chew. But not all gummy bears are made with animal gelatin. For people who are vegetarian or vegan, or just don't want to eat animal products, there are alternatives. Some gummy bears are made with plant-based ingredients like agar-agar or pectin. Agar-agar comes from seaweed and pectin is found in fruits. These ingredients work similarly to gelatin by creating that chewy texture, but the bounce might feel just a little different. It's a great option for those who want to enjoy gummy bears without the animal connection. Interestingly, the texture of gummy bears can also change depending on the amount of gelatin used. More gelatin means a firmer and bouncier gummy bear, while less gelatin creates a softer one. Haribo, being the experts they are, have mastered the perfect balance to make the gummy bears just right. In some countries, Haribo even makes gummies with recipes tailored to local preferences. For instance, some places prefer their gummies to be softer and less chewy, while others want that extra bounce. This is why Haribo gummy bears might feel slightly different depending on where you buy them. So the next time you chew on a gummy bear, think about all the hard work that went into getting that perfect texture. It's not just about making candy, it's about creating a treat that's fun to eat and feels amazing to chew. Gelatin, plant-based alternatives, and Haribo's attention to detail all come together to make gummy bears the bouncy little stars of the candy world. The fun facts about Haribo gummy bears. Now let's dive into some fun and surprising facts about Haribo gummy bears. Did you know the green gummy bears in Europe taste like strawberries, but in the United States they're lime-flavored? Yep, Haribo actually adjusts their flavors based on the region. This means that if you're traveling and pick up a pack of gummy bears in a different country, you might be in for a tasty little surprise. But Haribo's dedication to creating the perfect gummy bear doesn't stop there. They have a team of professional taste testers whose sole job is to eat gummy bears all day. Imagine waking up every morning and heading to work knowing you'll spend the day chewing on candy. These taste testers are responsible for making sure every gummy bear is just the right texture, flavor, and size. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it, right? Another fun fact is that Haribo makes over 100 million gummy bears every single day. That's enough gummy bears to circle the earth almost 4 times in a year. And Haribo doesn't just make gummy bears, they also make other fun shapes like gummy frogs, cola bottles, and even gummy Smurfs. But the classic bear shape will always be the star of the show. Haribo is also pretty creative when it comes to their packaging. In some countries, you can buy mix and match packs where you get different shapes and flavors in one bag. They've even made limited edition gummy bears for special occasions like holidays or anniversaries. These packs often include unique flavors that you won't find anywhere else. But here's something you might not know. Haribo is very strict about quality control. Every gummy bear goes through multiple checks before it gets packaged. If a gummy bear doesn't meet their high standards, it doesn't make the cut. This is why Haribo gummy bears always look and taste so perfect. Another interesting tidbit is how much people love gummy bears around the world. In Germany, where Haribo started, gummy bears are considered a national treasure. Some people even have gummy bear-themed weddings. There's also a tradition in some schools where kids are given gummy bears as a treat for doing well in class. Talk about motivation. Finally, Haribo has found some pretty unusual uses for their gummy bears. Did you know chefs sometimes use melted gummy bears to make fun, colorful sauces for desserts? Or that artists use them in sculptures? It just goes to show that gummy bears are more than candy. They're a cultural icon and source of inspiration. So the next time you grab a handful of Haribo gummy bears, remember all the fun, history, and creativity packed into those tiny chewy treats. And that's pretty sweet, don't you think? So there you have it. Now you know exactly how Haribo gummy bears are made and what they're made of. Sure, knowing that animal gelatin is sometimes used to make gummy bears might gross you out at first, but the company's thorough processing and of course the sweet taste of the finished product should put your mind at ease. Let's not forget that there are gummy bears for vegetarians too. Cool, right? And with that said, what Haribo gummy bear flavor is your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to know stories behind how your favorite brands are made from scratch. See you in the next one!